welcome to the High Performance Cricket Podcast. Today, if you listen to this podcast in full, I can guarantee that you will take away something that can make you a better cricketer right now today. Whether you're a cricketer striving to make it to the top, whether you're a coach who's trying to help other cricketers achieve their dreams, or you're a parent of a cricketer who wants their kid to get the best out of themselves and enjoy their cricket as much as you possibly can, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Jason Cox, the founder of High Performance Cricket. And at High Performance Cricket, we combine strength and conditioning, mental skills, the cricket technical and tactical skills, and overall lifestyle development from nutrition, recovery, and everything that goes into making cricketers a better player. I have all my links down below in the description. If you have any interest in working with us to become a better cricketer or your child to become a better cricketer. But for now, let's get into the show. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that is deep to my heart. Something that I've had to work through a lot when I was playing cricket, and something that I see causes the most pain to all cricketers that I work with. And this is injuries. Now, playing sport, playing cricket, bowling fast, you're going to get injured. There will be injuries along the way. I've never met an athlete who has never been injured, and often it can be the people who bounce back from injuries are the ones who actually make it in the end and get the most out of themselves. And other people, probably like me, who get injured and never quite get back to where they were. They use injuries as an excuse to reasons why they weren't performing at their best, almost uses them as an out. I know when I was playing, there was actually periods of my career where I got injured and I was relieved. I was relieved I wasn't playing because it was an easy escape for me. It was an easy excuse for me not to be playing at my best. So if I was underperforming, I'd actually be kind of wishing I got injured so I didn't have to work through and get better and then go out and perform. That probably speaks to the mindset that I probably faced as a cricketer through my late teen years. And something that I work with and help my cricketers a lot now is how to navigate themselves through those times. And then also there's a massive motivating factor with injuries too. Like when you get injured and you lose motivation, rehab can be hard and it's a lonely place sometimes. And especially I feel there's a lot of bad rehab advice out there, and I've seen some shocking plans given to some of the athletes that I work with from other health professionals that don't cut the mustard when it comes to getting players back to perform at their best. Because we're going to go through a few things in here today. We're going to go through some lessons that I've learned from my injuries, what injuries are, why they happen, what you can do to ensure that you give yourself a good chance of not being injured. And then when you do get injured, how can you best rehab an injury to get yourself back to performing at your best? So let's go through a bit of my journey first with injuries. So when I was 15, now this is just before the Vic under 15s trials. I'd just been added to the trials late. So I was a bit of a fat kid growing up. And then I made under 14s for a region team, South East Sharks, where I thought I made it as a batter, but I ended up bowling a little bit. It was my first year being relatively lean. And I made it as a bowler, bowled okay, it wasn't nothing special. And then that pre-season, I put in a really big pre-season, dedicated, got some good coaching, was doing one-on-ones every single week, got really fit, got really strong. And leading to my under 15 season, I then got a late inclusion, a trial for the Vic under 15 squad out of nowhere. Like I only had one season of bowling, like proper pace and giving it a crack, and one pre-season. So I trained the house down, and after the trial, I trained even harder. I was also playing footy as well, and boom, I got a shin stress reaction. I was like, you're kidding me. So then I missed all the trials bar one. And then luckily enough, I bowled in one trial, hit a block in the head, couple of poles, bang, made the Vic team out of nowhere, which is crazy to think about. And then, to be fair, that's a sliding doors moment. I would not be here talking to a camera by myself in my office, making cricket content, if I didn't make that team, I reckon. And that's opened up the doors for so many things. That's crazy, the fact that he's made that team after just one trial. But yeah, so that shin stress reaction happened from, obviously, a result from overtraining. I was doing so much work. I was doing the Casey South Melbourne Academy on a Sunday, and I'll be bowling on the hard concrete net for like 2 hours with the academy, and then the senior squad will get me to train after as well for another like 2 or 3 hours. I was bowling for like 4 or 5 hours, which is absolutely just fucked to think back on. Like, what was I doing? And this is after playing footy on the Saturday as well. And often I'll be playing footy like under 16s, and then on the under 18s as well. I played both games that year a lot. So that was workload to the max. And I wonder why I got a stress response injury. So I make that Vic 15s team, and then I come back. And then a month out or 5 weeks out, I do a side strain. Once again, workload management issue. I bowled for 2 hours, 2 or 2.5 hours straight at training. Must have been like a public holiday. Could have been Australia Day weekend. So we trained on 2 hours I bowled for, let's call it on a Tuesday. And then we trained the next day on a Wednesday because it must have been a public holiday on a Thursday. And then, bang, like did me side, like an over in. Spewing. Year after that, I had a lumbar stress reaction. This was directly after the under 17s national champs, pretty much, where I first had symptoms. 2017, I had a side strain again towards the back end of the season. I had a foot stress reaction before under 19s tournament, 2018. Then 2019, 2020, I did a adductor strain both times. And then I finally learned how to manage my body properly in my last couple of years of playing. I did not get injured. So I know what it's like to get injured. I know how it feels to go through this and rehab and come back and miss out on tournaments. As I mentioned before, I was not originally named in the under-19s team, but the bottom major, but I was worded up to come in as a bit of an emergency for somebody, and then bang, I was ruled out with a foot stressy before. That was even in the works, but I was told, you're ready, stay ready, there's someone getting injured, and then someone pulled out, but then I had to pull out myself, which is disappointing, but we live and we learn, and I've lived a pretty good life since, so I'm not too concerned about that anymore. So, what are injuries and why do they happen? Injuries occur because there's too much load on a muscle, a joint, tendon, ligament, a bone than what it can handle. The load is too great for what the load has been put on it. Now, this can happen whether it's an acute injury, like a contact injury, like you run into somebody like a Steve Waugh, Jason Gillespie, I think it is, and bang, broken leg. There's still so much force through the leg that the leg couldn't withstand that and it broke. Same thing for a more chronic injury, if it's like a lumbar stress fracture, where over time, too much workloads for months and months and months and months and months, then that we get a fracture in the back because the load exceeds it. Same thing for a hamstring strain. We take off for a sprint under that level of fatigue that you had, the nutrition that you had under that day, how well you slept, your strength levels. You take off for that run was too much load, too much velocity, too much forces through that hamstring, and then it's strained. So it's really crucial that we keep your capacity of your tissues nice and high, and we build that, and we'll go into that later on and how we build that up. So injuries can happen, in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different injuries, and some of the most common injuries that happen are lumbar stress fractures for fast bowlers, side strains, adductor and hamstring strains. You have a foot and ankle impingement, so the back of your ankle. Fast bowlers get really, really sore from their front foot landing. And then some shoulder injuries as well. Batters, lumbar stiffness, like back pain, size trains as well for batters, and then like some wrist or shoulder stuff or elbow stuff for batters too from throwing. So it's really important that to manage your workloads through the pre-season, through the off-season, to make sure you're actually back up to that you can handle the loads of playing come game day. So who's at risk? So essentially like young fast bowlers. So fast bowlers under the age of 25 are the ones that are most at risk. Our bodies, our bones are still developing. It's often when there's a lot of rep cricket involved. Like the younger you are, the more cricket you play and the less physically ready you are to handle those loads. So I find it so bizarre that it's very dangerous just throwing young fast bowlers out there just to bowl and bowl and bowl and bowl. And on a side note, that's why I think that there's not too much express raw pace anymore, because fatigue gets in the way of pace. And if we expect somebody to have such a high workload, then naturally they're going to conserve energy and they're not going to try and bowl fast. It's like if you had 12 overs to bowl for the week, you're more likely to bowl them faster, knowing if you had 30 overs to bowl for the week. So it's important that young fast bowlers in particular are really aware of their workloads and not just bowling machines. Like, take control of your own career. Don't just bowl in the nets because you've been asked to. And don't say yes to everything too. That's the thing. I know you think if you don't say yes to this one opportunity that you're going to need to be left behind. Trust me, if you're good enough, you're going to make it. Now, I see cricketers, they say yes to everything, even if it doesn't actually suit with their plan for the season. Like, I know people who are like starting like some academies and some bowling stuff right now in April, when they're weak as, they're unfit, they're not in the right physical condition, and this is the perfect time to work on your physical qualities, getting stronger, getting fitter, all those sorts of things. And the bowling stuff can happen close to the season. It's like, you don't need to say yes just because the club has invited you to come and train. Doesn't mean you need to go to all their sessions. Doesn't mean you need to go to that session. But if you're good enough, you'll make it. But you need to figure out what is the best workload for you, what is the best plan over the year, and how does this fit into that? How does this academy fit into your plan to get your body right for the whole year? So learning how to say no is a massive, massive thing here. Let's talk about, now we know who's at risk, let's talk about how to prevent injuries better. Number one thing that you can do right now is manage your workload better. It's as simple as that. So Cricket Australia uses acute to chronic workload ratios in their research. Now, workload doesn't just mean fast bowling, like balls bowled. It means everything. It means your running volumes. It means your batting volumes. It means your gym volumes. It does mean your bowling workloads in particular. Bowling workloads is one that's highly researched because it's really easy to do a study on it because it's pretty black and white. I bowled 48 balls on Tuesday, whereas it's hard to manage, your total gym load. It's hard to manage your total running loads, batting volume. It's a bit harder. Whereas if you just have 48 balls, I bowled them flat out. That's a lot easier to manage and do research on. And bowling is a more high risk, unnatural task. So managing everything, managing your gym, managing your training volumes, all of that is super, super important. Find a level that your body can handle. If you're always sore, if you're always fatigued, if you're always tired, if you can't back up, you're probably doing a little bit too much. And the human body isn't a machine. More is not better. There is a optimal level of workload that you can handle at a certain amount of time. Before then, you start to detrain and it actually starts to impair your performance. So more and more is always better. And I do not want to see cricketers playing 4 games on a weekend ever again. Whenever I hear that, I just go, oh my God, what is going on? Number one, you need to do other things on the weekend than just play cricket. And number two, we're just throwing these cricketers out there, throwing these bowlers out there into games, and it's ruining their performance playing 4 games a weekend. I'm telling you right now, fast bowlers are not meant to just be worked into the ground. They're premium racehorses that you throw them out on a once a weekend, twice a weekend max, and let them go to work and be fast and expressive and powerful. They're a sports car. Don't turn them into like a ute or a truck or somewhere. Don't turn them into a truck. That's a better analogy, where they just going all over Australia. They're a race car. So that's one thing there. Manage your workload and just count the balls that you bowl. Put them in your notes on your phone. Write down how long you bowl for, whatever it is. It's either balls bowled or duration or how long you bowl for. Next thing is the gym. Now, the gym is the best way to not get injured. So, when it comes to the gym, I talked about before, injuries happen because you get to a certain point where the load that you put on that muscle, joint, bone, whatever it is too great for what you want to do. Now, the best way to increase the work capacity of a muscle, ligament, tendon, bone, etc., and get them stronger, is by going to the gym. Now, you're going to need a combination of compound exercises like your squats, your deadlifts, your RDLs, chin-ups, rows, bench press, push-ups, shoulder press, etc. Also, again, a combination of some isolation exercises. So, how I like to build out a gym session is like start with your plyometrics and your power work at the start. These are also great for injury prevention as well. We're developing stronger tendons. We're exposing the body to fast, dynamic actions which happen in sport, which is the key. We need to think about your training program is we're exposing the body to everything that's expected to happen on game day. If we expose the body and get it strong and resilient to everything it's expected to do, then the body adapts, and then we actually build a nice, resilient body to handle those workloads. So that's why it's really important to keep on exposing the body different stimuluses, so power and plyometrics and med ball work at the start, strong exercises. We're building strength, low rep, high intensity. We're building some good raw strength. Then we can go on some isolation work at the end. So like towards the end, the accessory work, I like the accessory work to be like targeted towards certain injuries that you've had in the past. This is where a lot of individualization comes into play here. So if you've had a lot of hamstring injuries, then we're going to be doing a lot of isometric holds for the hamstrings, some Nordics, some hamstring sliders, etc. We're going to be really targeting that area. If you've done a groin like me, a lot of Copenhagen's, a lot of lateral lunging, a lot of stuff for the groins. A lot of shoulder work you can go through here, a lot of core work, especially for the lateral trunk, like for when you've done size trains. Calf and ankle work, if you've done a lot of ankle or calf injuries. This is where we can be really targeted and build resilience and work capacity in that area. It's important that like lifting weights in the gym when it comes to building a resilient body isn't about lifting the most weights, and absolutely that's important, but we're trying to build a body that's resilient and robust, and we can withstand being under fatigue and not breaking down under fatigue. That's the key. Recommending getting to the gym 2 to 4 times per week with that. Now, another way to reduce your chance of getting injuries is refining technique. Fast bowling technique, running technique, throwing technique, all really important. If we're overloading a certain part of the body, we can change the technique to then deload that part and load another part of the body. So if we're going to massive amounts of lateral flexion with bowling, we're really using our sides and our obliques. So if we can adjust the technique to have more of a well-balanced approach to how we muscle the ball down, then that's going to be a great way to, without doing any strength training, to deload the side and then reload that energy momentum somewhere else. Be a bit more efficient. Same thing with our running. If we're overstriding and we're putting a lot of load through our shins, then we can then work on shortening our strides up, laying our foot underneath our hip, much more efficient running pattern for performance, but also we're deloading the load going through our shins, and that's going to then reduce your risk of getting like an overload shin splint stress reaction type injury. Same thing with throwing. If you're really using your throwing shoulder to throw the ball and like really muscle it down, then what we can do, we can teach you how to throw properly, to throw with your legs and use your front side to pull that back shoulder through. So you can actually throw the ball harder and further, but you're actually using less of that throwing shoulder and using more of your whole body. So it's really important that understanding like technique is so important when it comes to this stuff here. If you've been injured constantly, then it's really important to look at how you move. How you move is everything. Because there might be something if you've been constantly injured in your knee, then typically there might be something going on at your ankle or at your hip. You might have a lack of range of motion. You might not be using your ankle and your foot properly when running. You might not get enough bounce and your knees trying to pick up the slack. So it's really important that we look at how you move, look at why pain or an injury is happening, because there's often up and down the chain. And what I mean by that is that the joint below and the joint above, there's always something going on that is typically why you're getting injured in a certain spot. I gave the knee example there. At the hips, once again, if you keep on doing your adductor, is there something in your lower back? Is there something in your knees? Is there a weakness in some sort of muscle there that's causing that? Same for hamstrings injuries and that as well. If hamstring injuries is a massive one for running technique. If you're excessively, like you're flicking your bum, you're flicking your foot at the back, your bum flicking, you're not getting into your front side mechanics, you're not getting enough knee drive, your legs are flicking at the back, then you're going to put a lot of stress on your hamstrings, because you're then going to overstride and then put a lot of stress and strain on the hammies there. So looking at how you move is just as important as your workload management and as going to the gym, because all that ties into building a body that can be resilient and strong and not break down. Now let's move on to lifestyle and recovery. So underlooked when it comes to why you're getting injured. Are you sleeping well? Are you getting your 8 hours a night? Being underslept is heavily researched to increase your risk of injuries by almost double. If you're having less than 6 hours sleep, there's studies out there saying you'll double the chance of getting injured. So making sure you're sleeping, making that a priority is an absolute key. Making sure you're putting the right fuel in your body, like not just if you're under eating and not putting the right amount of calories into your body, then you are going to be constantly weakened and then at a state of fatigue. This is even more particularly if you're like a more skinnier person and you're under eating and you're losing weight. Seriously high risk. Not having enough protein for recovery. You need to make sure that you're putting enough protein back in your body so you can replenish and refuel after heavy training sessions. We can also think about your stress. Being in a high stress state increases your risk of getting injured as well. So it's really important that you have a nice balanced lifestyle where we're eating well, we're sleeping well, and you're doing work to stay in a low stress environment. So important. So this is a bit of our framework. Number one, making sure that we're finding a sweet spot of workload. That's the number one important thing. Don't do too much, don't do too little. Find enough workload where you're preparing your skills and your body ready for the demands of the game. Number two, making sure that you're going to the gym, you're doing a variety of power, plyometrics work, med ball works, your compound main strength exercises, and being really targeted with your accessory work. Target your accessories, make them really, really specific to you and your injuries and what you do as a bowler or a batter, and make sure that you're getting those areas strong that you've injured in the past or that you may potentially injure in the future, because we know now what the most common injuries are. Then from there, make sure you're moving well. Make sure your batting, bowling technique, your throwing technique, your running, your change of direction technique is sound and efficient, so you're not overloading certain areas and putting them at high risk. And then from there, make sure your lifestyle is on point, making sure that you're sleeping well, you're eating well, and you're managing your stress the right way. With doing all these things, you'll give yourself the great chance of not being injured or reducing your risk of being injured significantly. From there, let's talk about some rehab. Now, absolutely important to not just think about returning to play. I need you to return to perform. So it's really important that you're exposing yourself to high intensity actions. And realistically, like before you come back and bowl from a soft tissue or come back and play, there's a few things you should be able to do. You should be able to bowl 100%. You should be able to sprint 100%, change direction at 100%, throw at 100%. And you need to have trained that, and you need to have done the work to get to that. So you need to be doing some explosive dynamic stuff in the gym. You need to be progressing your plyometrics. You need to be progressing the intensity of your med ball work. You need to be making sure we're doing our running drills and we're building that running technique at back. You need to be doing a lot of high intensity stuff towards the back end of your rehab. Don't just do like glute bridges, dead bugs, clams, crab walks. Yep, good to run, back into it and play. You want to start with like some isometric introducing load. You want to build up that capacity, do some wall holds, like some hip lock holds, some other isometric holds where we're reinforcing those positions into some stuff that's more dynamic, like some A marches, getting back into our normal traditional compound strength exercises. We're building that strength. We can then reload some plyometrics and then we start to intensify those. We get you back running, or get you back jogging, then running, then striding, then sprinting. We're working change of direction. We're doing med ball work. We're doing some bowling drills at a lower load. It's important that I talk about return to perform. Like when I get players back, I want them to be in a better physical state than what they were when they got injured. Because if you've been injured, right, if you've hurt your hamstring, you needed to build that hamstring back up to be stronger than what it was. Because it's already shown that level that it was not good enough, was not strong enough to withstand that workload. So it needs to be a seamless transition from training back into playing at your best. Otherwise, you're just leaving yourself at higher risk of being injured. And I don't want that, because I don't want people coming back and re-injuring. You need to be doing the work and coming back and being ready to return to perform, not return to play. That is the key from a good rehab. Now you can do stuff like having like data and things like that, but I reckon if you need to be able to train balls to the wall flat out on a Thursday night before playing on a Saturday, and you need to be unrestricted in all ways to come back and to give yourself the confidence to play at your best. Now, obviously for finals and grand finals and things like that, you get people out and you play and you be crafty, and luckily cricket's a skill-based game and you can still be effective and play a little bit sore, a little bit injured in the big games. But for regular season, I recommend get your body right 100% to set yourself up for a strong back end, so we're not having that season where it's injured a little bit, miss a game, or it's interrupted. Get yourself right, get yourself ready to perform, come back, hit the ground running. So that is it. That's my injury little synopsis there. Hopefully you guys took something out of that. Let me know any feedback on that in the comments. If there's anything that you think, have any questions, any injuries that you've had in the past, share your experiences, and let me know if I may miss anything that you've tried, or any principles that you like when it comes to injury rehab. But thanks for listening, guys, and I'll speak to you guys soon. And that's a wrap for today's show. Thanks for watching, guys. I know you haven't subscribed yet, so please make sure you do right now. Leave a review and let me know any feedback or any questions that you have from this previous episode. If you are interested in becoming the best cricketer that you've ever been and getting coaching from me, I have all my links down below in the description for either my in-person based in Melbourne or my online coaching where you can be anywhere around the world. Thanks, guys. Feel free to share with a friend, and thanks for tuning in. Win the day.